On today's episode of Saints Happy Hour, we are going to do a draft to save Dennis Allen's job. I call it the Saints Happy Hour Panic Draft Special. Thomas, hit that intro.
Welcome to the award-winning Saints Happy Hour podcast. Seriously, this podcast has won awards. American standards are dropping every day. The show features Ralph, the best host in the world, who can barely pronounce his own name, much less anyone else's.
Marcus Marquez Callaway.
Dave is that dude who loves taking bathroom breaks. He's mad about almost anything, so make sure to lower your volume when he speaks.
Put that freaking clown meme back up that I made. Jesus Christ.
Andrew has sources, watches tapes, and knows football. He rarely shows up on time and wants to commit crimes to help the Saints win.
Sean Payton would have done illegal things. Don't tell me I'm wrong, because you know it's true.
Oh, and there's also Kevin, who is great at doing mock drafts, but struggles to actually watch Saints games or have a functioning relationship.
Budrich wants to know how the doctor's doing.
That ended.
Anyway, grab a drink, sit back, and enjoy the insanity.
All right, everybody, welcome to another edition of Saints Happy Hour podcast. As always, we are brought to you by Hard Hide Ponchatoula Strawberry Whiskey. If you're finding us on the YouTube, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. If you're listening to the audio only version, like us, review us, subscribe wherever you get your podcast. All right, I got Kevin with me. I got Thomas running the show back in Poland.
Yeah, I'm
it's
tired.
Mock draft. Hello, Kevin. How are you today?
I'm tired.
Tired.
I'm tired. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I woke up really early because I had to go to the gym, and the trainer worked me half to death. So
there you go. So I was working you half to death too, because people that are new to this Saints mock draft episode that we do on YouTube, they might not be familiar. I give Kevin every week. We don't just run another mock draft. Each week we do a different theme, and I give to Kevin a theme or an assignment. Yep. And this week I try to go different. I tried to say, some week I say, hey Kevin, we got to fix the offensive line, or hey, we got to fix receiver, or whatever. This week I said, Kevin, I want you to run this draft as if you are Dennis Allen or you are trying to save Dennis Allen's job. And Kevin asked me, well, what does that entail? I said, whatever you think it entails, you just have to run it and be able to explain it like you are saving Dennis Allen's job. I think it's going to get wild and crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Kevin, was this a fun experiment for you?
Yeah. Yeah, it really was. I did it last night. I sent the full download to Tomas last night, and it took me a lot longer than I anticipated. That will become apparent as we go. Yeah. And again, I'm prefacing everything by saying this. All you told me was draft. Whatever you do, it is draft to save DA's job. I interpreted that as chaos.
Okay, but it can be fair. It could be because it can be. You can interpret it one of two ways. Like if you're Dennis Allen, and he's trying to save his job, you can interpret it. You can sort of run the draft in a couple of ways, right? There are many different ways. You could say, hey, I gotta acquire as many picks as I can and get a bunch of youth in here. We'll have a bunch of guys work out, and maybe we can win, right? We can win more games, and that will save my job, and I'll get an extension. Or I can mortgage everything, move up, get a quarterback, and say, hey, you got to keep me. We drafted this quarterback. It's going to take us a couple, 2-3 years to build. Or you can do the thing where you acquire a bunch of picks, and you build out and you say, hey, this roster's young. You got to give me more time. So it's an interesting, I didn't want to make it. I thought if I said, hey, you got to draft to make Dennis Allen win this year.
That's how I interpreted it.
You can interpret it many ways. So let's get started.
Hang on a second, brother. Hang on a minute, brother. Huh? I got the text messages right here. I said, so hang on. So let's go back to the assignment. Blah, blah, blah. That's some
Make
stuff.
Miss Krabowski and The Simpsons near Bart going over the work.
Yeah. you are drafting to save your ass. I said, so my goal is to survive 2024. Yes, and ideally get an extension and win, but any path to not being fired is acceptable. I saw and win and said,
and win.
we're trying. The goal is to win the division in 2024 and thus make the playoffs and go from there.
That's right. That's fair. We play to win the games, right?
Correct. Thank you, Herm.
So let's get started. What was your first course of action?
My first course of action, do not load this up yet, Tomas. My first course of action was to try and figure out, how do I trade up? And I started looking at every team ahead of the Saints and figuring out, what do I have to give up to move ahead? Is there a way that I can move ahead but stockpile more stuff later? And then as I was working on this, I started to try and formulate a plan because I started to realize, okay, I'm giving up too much in this year's draft to move up. And even if I throw in some assets for next year, it's going to cost me too much to move up. Because if I'm going to move up, I need somebody, I need an absolute game changer, like just stud. We're talking possible Pro Bowl or like all rookie team or whatever the hell it is. And don't get me wrong, I think some of my picks are going to be really good. Duh. But long story short, I did not trade up. I examined my options. Now, maybe in a future assignment, you can order me to draft up or to trade up.
No,
But I checked. I went through the whole thing. It took me a long time to do it. Trading up, not an option for me. I needed, and plus, we only had the 4 rounds.
That's right.
I thought if I trade away too many assets, this is going to be a very short mock draft show, and that's not good for the people. And I'm here for the people.
Well, here's the reason why I wanted you to do it. Because listen, I know people get upset. They're like, "Oh, the Saints never trade down. When you trade down and you do all these trades, it's not realistic. And I want to see a realistic Saints mock draft, and this is not good." But the reason why I wanted you to do this exercise is because I look at the draft, and I know you run the mocks continuously, and I've started to do it a little. And you can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. I look at it is I think the cost for the Saints this year to move up is going to be extraordinary. Because here's why, Kevin. You're going to have quarterback go 1, 2, 3. So everybody between 4 and when the Saints pick, especially those next 4 or 5 picks, they're going to have their choice of premium non-quarterback positions. So these teams that need an offensive lineman, need a pass rusher, need a receiver, they're going to be even less likely, in my opinion, to move off because they're going to be like, why am I going to move from 5 to 14 where the cost for the Saints in normally might be a first or a second or whatever? I think it's going to be hard. It's going to be higher because these teams are going to say, I'm not moving out. I'm taking Neighbors from LSU. I'm taking the Penn State tackle. And I think the cost is going to be exorbitant. And the reason why I want to get to that is because when the Saints move up, if they move up, the cost is going to be ridiculous. And I want us to be able to say, we told you so. We told you the cost when the Saints do that crazy ass Loomis trade and they move from 14 to 7 and it cost an arm and a leg. We told you so. We told you so. And they're going to be like, the chart says it's this and they paid 30% more. I want to be able to say, we told you so. Because that's how I think the draft is going to play out this year.
So I then started looking at, all right, how do I trade down and keep collecting? How do I trade down and keep collecting? I ended up collecting.
Here we go.
Well, hang on. I ended up collecting a lot of picks, but I was wheeling and dealing the whole time before I even made one draft pick.
Wow. You were Jimmy Johnson.
A lot of wheeling and dealing.
You were Jimmy Johnson in the 90s.
Now, clearly, look, is this going to happen? No.
No.
It's literally 0.001% chance anything like this would ever happen. But it's my mock draft, and I'm going to do what I want.
But here's the thing. We know that the Saints are one of the most trade-happy teams in the NFL. Now, granted, the Saints trades only go one way, and that's up. But I believe that doing a bunch of trades, it gives you a sense of the cost, where
Correct.
guys fall, how it's going to play out.
Because the Saints have a 14, have pick 14 and pick 45. So I tell you what, let's run the first one out there.
Let's go. Let's do it.
So I moved up.
Wow.
I moved up initially to pick 7. I traded with the Titans. I gave them 14 and 45. In return, I got 7, 106, and 144. Now, my thought with doing that was I can't go 137 picks between from getting my top 10 pick, which look, I don't know if the quarterbacks are going 1, 2, 3. I really don't.
Yeah.
There's a slight chance one of them would drop to 7, and I know Saints fans would love to have, I said this before. They all want the QB. They all want the QB. Yeah. Not happening. It's not happening.
Yeah. Well, the thing is at 7, if the quarterbacks go 1, 2, 3, Marvin Harrison Jr., Neighbors, that's 4, 5 maybe, and a pass rusher. Suddenly at 7, you are probably getting, if you make the pick, which you said you did a bunch of stuff, but if the Saints move up to 7, which is a good exercise in this draft, that to me signals they want to tackle.
So you're looking at Joe Alt.
That's right.
You're looking at Brock Bowers at tight end. You're looking at, and I don't know how he pronounces this, the guy from Washington, Rome Odunze.
The receiver, yeah.
I'm guessing it's Italian. I'm probably wrong. You got Cooper DeJean, and then a Ralph Malborough special right here, the tackle from Penn State. Whew.
He's a nightmare for me.
Olumue Fashiono?
He's a nightmare. I might have to get on the Googles and learn how to pronounce his name.
Right. But so you would have all those guys as possibilities depending on how some things fall. Obviously some of those guys would get picked before 7. But I looked at it and I thought, I don't like waiting 137 picks.
That's right.
I can't do it. I can't do it, Ralph.
Physically, you can't. It's impossible.
I can't. I'm physically ill. It's like in Clockwork Orange where the guy just started getting physically ill when he's thought about doing bad things. Right. I get physically ill thinking about waiting for draft, for waiting for my time to draft and trading up to do so. So
that's right.
I made another move. I decided
here we go.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to trade back down a little bit and see if I can stockpile more picks. So I contacted the Raiders and I said, I'll give you 7. And in exchange, I got pick 13, 77, 112, and 150.
Wow. You're like channeling Kevin Costner in Draft Day.
Brother, listen, they screwed that whole movie up.
They did.
They screwed that whole... Honestly, if I were writing that movie, and I think I've said this before on the podcast, if I were writing that movie, what I would have done is Costner would have basically traded down. Like, he would have essentially tanked his job in that year's draft to get a couple good players, but stockpile picks for the year to come, or for the following draft. And he would have been essentially a hero. He would have gotten fired, but he would have been a hero.
Right.
And he would have saved the coach's job and made the team look attractive and all this other kind of stuff. But whatever. So then I thought to myself, 13 to 77, I want to tighten that a little bit.
Tighten that up.
I called up the Indianapolis Colts.
Yeah.
And I says to Mabel, I would like pick 15. So let's start wheeling and dealing. And I started measuring things out. And I got from the Colts pick 15, pick 46, and pick 82. In exchange, I gave the Colts 13, 77, 106, 112, 136, 170, and 176. So I gave them 7. I got back 3. Then this is what all the machinations here were for. My goal was to stay in the first round, but keep trading down so I could try and stockpile. My goal was to try and get as many top 100 picks.
There you
as
go.
possible.
I like
wanted
that.
top 100 or just outside the top 100.
That's a great strategy. That's the old for older Saints fans. Bum Phillips for the Saints. He hated that the draft was like 17, 18 rounds. And what he would do is he would package like 5 picks, like round 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, and get like a 4th round pick. And so Bum would be like, yeah, our draft only lasted 5 rounds. I'm going to the track. And like, that was the Bum Phillips special.
God bless. God bless. You give me a big cowboy hat, and I'll come in here yeehaw and get some cap guns, and I'll do it. I'll do it. You know I'll do it.
I know. It's like, but
so
continue.
So I thought to myself, what else can we get? What else can we do out here? I called up the Detroit Lions.
Oh, here we go.
Who just got bounced from the playoffs. They're going to be downtrodden and sad. They're currently picking 29th. I said, Detroit, would you like to pick 15th? He said, yes, we would. So I traded that. I gave them pick 15 and pick 82. And in exchange, I got 29, 61, 73, and 92.
There you go.
Now, I probably should have left it there. I probably should have left it there, Ralph.
You couldn't.
But I'm me.
That's right.
And I couldn't. I can't let things like that sit. It's why I have such great luck in my relationships. So I called up the New England Patriots, and I said, I don't know what I said. I traded them 29. I traded them 29 and 73.
Amnesia.
And in exchange, I got 34, I got 68, and I got 103.
Okay.
So I wind up with 5 top 100 picks, all pretty well spread out, and pick 103. So just outside the top 100.
What future assets did you give up to do this?
You mean from next year?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Wow.
Nothing from next year yet. You see what I love about this is Ralph hasn't seen this yet. Ralph doesn't know.
I don't have it.
Wait, you didn't see it?
No, I didn't see it.
Okay, good.
I didn't want to see it.
because this is fun, because I'm enjoying your reaction.
But
Because you're looking at this going, what are you doing?
I like this. No, because people are going to say, "What are you doing?" But I like this because I think there is a sense, and I've said this on Twitter with people. The thing that the Saints and Saints Twitter both agree on that they're horribly wrong about is they both believe the Saints roster is good. So even though I think the Saints roster is old and they need to start restocking, I think there's a legit chance, not that what you have created where you haven't traded future assets yet and you've stockpiling all these top 100 picks. I do think there's a chance that the details of how we get here with all these top 100 picks may be wrong. Mickey Loomis may take a different road and he may burn even more future assets than you. But I think, Kevin, there's a legit chance that we look at the Saints and when they're done with their draft and we're like, oh my God, I can't believe they burned 2025 second and a 2025 third and a 2025 fifth, but they got 4 top 100 picks in 2024. And
Look,
that's how
I'll
they
tell you
roll.
this. I'll tell you this: the Commanders and the Cardinals have multiple picks in the top 100 that if you wanted to give away pick 14, you could get a nice sturdy haul, and it would be like one step. It'd be one step. Like, you wouldn't have to do everything I did. But I've done that before with the Cardinals, and frankly, I don't like to repeat myself too much, because then that's boring. That's boring.
Yeah. So you got more stuff to do. We got more stuff to do.
So now we make a pick.
There we go.
So I can't tell you who else was available at the time, because I'm not looking. I can't recreate
The draft.
this. So what I thought to myself was, based off of the last podcast we did, where Juge was telling me Mike Thomas isn't getting traded, he's like just done.
He's gone. He's just going to gone. He's just
Right. So my assumption is Mike Thomas is gone in 2024. There is no Mike Thomas. So the team needs a wide receiver.
That's right.
And they need to make some kind of splash for it. So I took the best wide receiver that I could get that was also pretty damn big.
Yeah.
So I grabbed, hang on, let me pull that up there so I can at least give you some numbers here. I got Keon Coleman from Florida State, 6'4", 215,
Yeah.
true junior. Guy caught, caught 7 and 11 touchdowns the last 2 years.
He
the
lasted
yardage
that long?
Say what?
He lasted till then?
He dropped. Like, the trends for him, he's dropped from just outside the top 10 to recovering to where he's appearing somewhere in the right at 30 and beyond.
He would be, if he would fall a little bit further, maybe, and the Saints picked at 45. However, the Saints would get him. He has the potential to have an amazing, like, if they did what you said and they picked him, you picked him in the late first round or early. What pick was it again?
That would be the early second round.
Early second round. If they pick him in the first round, it has the potential to be a really great draft day moment, because Kevin, he went to Opelousas Catholic in Opelousas, Louisiana. I don't know him. I haven't seen any clips on him.
You draft there you go.
You draft a Louisiana
boy. You get a Louisiana boy.
That's right.
In the team, and he's the first pick. And again, look, everybody loves making a sexy pick.
It's great.
Wide receiver is a sexy pick.
That's right.
And it'll be a position of need because Mike Thomas is going to be gone.
That's right.
So you get this guy coming in, tall, firebrand. You figure out where he's going to fit in. Can he be a legitimate number 2 behind Olave, and thus keep Rashid Shaheed as a really good number 3?
Yeah. And
so
Perry, you got Perry still. That's suddenly a really nice group. That's
correct. Correct.
They bring in Derek Carr's friend Hunter Renfrow. That's a real nice 5.
So you talked about, wow, Keon Coleman dropped this far?
Yeah.
Brother, the Saints have a horseshoe up their ass on this one.
Wow.
Because we went down to pick 46. There's no way he's going to be here in real life. But at pick 46, I got tackle Graham Barton from Duke.
Wow.
At pick 46. Listen. That's luck of the Irish right there.
That's luck of the Irish. But here's the thing, Kevin. Me and Andrew, and it was a long time ago. Maybe even you joined in, but that wasn't you. White, you weren't our mock draft vice president, vice president of mock draft simulations then. Me and Andrew, when we were doing the dailies, we would do this in 2017. And probably 40% of the time we did it, Ramczyk was there at 32. And at first, me and Andrew would have screaming matches, would be like, come on. This is ridiculous. He's going top 10. He might go top 10. He might go top 50. There's no way he's going to be there at 32. And I'd just be like, well, I got to take him. Like Zach Strief, he was great last year, but he's old and Armstead's hard. We're taking him. Yeah. And it happened 40% of the time. And every time it happened, we were like, there's no way. There's no way. But Kevin, there might be a situation like this draft is loaded at tackle. And yes. I could see a scenario where teams look at it and say, listen, I didn't get one of those top 4. So I'm not taking a guy at 20. We'll get our tackle in the second round. And right. I mean, listen, if the Saints would go wide receiver, offensive tackle, back to our main theme, I'm bringing it back around. If you're DA and you are trying to save your job with this draft, I don't know that you could do any better than wide receiver tackle.
Right. So I'll tell you this. Graham Barton has trended down over the last, let me line that up, probably since October, in fact.
Really?
He's been trending down, and he's actually dropped, let's see, if you go from December 30, no, it would be 14. So if you go from the 16th of December, he was averaging somewhere at pick 29 as of a week ago. So like the new numbers haven't come in. So I'm sort of guesstimating what day this was. As of a week ago, he's averaging about pick 39.
Yeah.
So him being available this late, according to PFF, right now is not unrealistic. Jordan Morgan is now ahead of him. Tyler Guyton is ahead of him. Troy Fautino is ahead of him.
What's his best qualities? What's his best quality?
He's 6'5" and weighs 314 pounds. And I saw a video of him shoving a guy a good 5-6 yards past the line to make a giant hole for whoever the Duke running back was at the time. That's it. Again, I'm not a tape eater.
That's right.
I just happened to see that, but I was already looking at him because, again, I look at numbers and I'm a vibes guy.
Yeah, but the thing that you are so good at is when I ask you these tiers, you know them. You're like, oh, that this tier it drops off after that. So before we get to the next pick, what is your feeling on your assignment of I got to save DA's job? Was there anything in this draft where you looked at it and you got wide receiver, you got tackle? Was there anybody else in these two selections you're like, oh, I just like, well, no. These were easy calls is what you're saying.
I wish I could remember what else I was looking at with Keon Coleman, but I made the decision, like, if the goal is to save
that's right. That's what we're doing.
DA's job, he's got to make a sexy pick off the top.
That's right.
and it's gonna have to be a wide receiver. So get a wide receiver, get a tall guy in there, and see where things go. And then immediately, DA's success is going to be tied to Derek Carr's success.
That's right.
So you've got to protect Derek Carr. The offensive line is always going to need help. I said this before. It's like the thing in Saving Private Ryan. Well, why are we diverting to do this? Why? I thought the mission was to save Private Ryan. No, the mission is to win the war. The mission, no matter what else happens, the mission is to improve the offensive line. So it's always getting offensive line help.
Yeah, and listen, like, if you draft a tackle, maybe a miracle happens and Trevor Penning turns a corner and you got Penning and Ramczyk magically comes healthy and the Duke guy doesn't play much. We'll cross that fantastic bridge when we get to it. Like,
hey, maybe Monica Bellucci somehow stumbles across my Twitter account, thinks, hey, this guy's funny. Let me take him. Let me go out and date him.
That's right.
So I'm not relying on that.
Are you not relying on? We're not this. But this way, we don't have to depend on Trevor Penalty to play.
Right.
We've got other
Right.
opponents. So what's next? What you got next for us?
So we get down to pick 61. And I thought, again, we need sexy picks here. What is sexy in the draft? Offense. Jimmy Graham's probably retiring.
That's right.
Taysom Hill, I don't even count
Not
as
young.
a tight end. He's just like
Yep.
the perfect Swiss Army knife. Foster Moreau, who knows? Juwan Johnson doesn't exactly inspire great
Had a
confidence.
good 3 weeks. That's right.
Right. So, and then Hunter Renfrow, it's like, whatever, dude.
He's
Give
a
me
receiver. He's a
youth.
slot guy. That's right.
Give me youth. Give me Jatavion Sanders from the University of Texas. 6'4", 243. He's a junior.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, some of the stats aren't knock you over the head, but he is the second highest rated tight end in the draft behind Brock Bowers.
Yeah.
And it's not close.
Oh, wow.
I mean, it's what I'm saying is it's a large gap between Brock Bowers and Jatavion Sanders in terms of the
Rating.
big PFF rank. It's also an equally large gap between Jatavion Sanders and the next group of tight ends.
So tight ends is a dicey pick because if you're not like tight ends that have been great rookie year, like you can count them on. Gronk wasn't good his rookie year. Graham, Mr. Taylor Swift, Kelsey wasn't. They take a minute, right? The Laportas of the world, like those are unicorns. But with the Saints, you get an extra tight end. Maybe you improve that running game, right? Maybe you do some other things. And like you say, you're getting me a top 2 tight end in the third, like in a top 100 pick. Like you got to do that. At this pick, though, was there any concern of like, maybe I need to go linebacker, maybe I need to go pass rush, or was he just like too good? You just like, I gotta take him. It's too good.
I was looking at what else was there, and I just recall not seeing a lot of picks in the places that I was.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't see the positions that I wanted to get
Mhm.
or positions that I needed
Yeah.
that were that high up.
And here's my concern with this. And this is a concern like if you don't go first round with this position. You know, if you don't pick a pass rusher in the first round, they're probably not going to be any good. Like Hendrickson for the Saints, a Pro Bowl consistent 10-sack guy that you don't pick in the first round, that is like a unicorn. There is basically over the last 10 years, not even 7 of them. They're just incredibly difficult to find because teams are so desperate to find them. That's how you trade up for Marcus Davenport, right? Because teams are like, I got to get a pass rusher. I got to get a guy that can get 10 sacks. That's my only concern with this draft. The Saints, they have Granderson, they have Cam Jordan. You don't have a pass rusher. But at the same time, like, it's almost like if you're not going to draft a quarterback in the first round, you ought to wait because second and third round quarterbacks, it's nothing but a graveyard. And the same thing with pass rushers. Like, really, really good pass rushers, you don't really find them then. So
I will tell you this. I briefly considered, because they were both still there at pick 61, I did consider taking one of the 2 top linebackers, Edgerrin Cooper from A&M and Jeremiah Trotter Jr. from Clemson. I opted against it because I just kept thinking to myself, sexy pick, get another offensive guy in there and do that.
And
that was I think that was my mindset on all that.
And here's the thing, you know, right before we get to the next pick, and it's one thing to remember as we go in these mock drafts, Jeff Ireland said at the Senior Bowl, listen, we're changing our prototype for defensive ends. We're not gonna demand that they are Hodor from Game of Thrones size anymore. They're not gonna be hot. We don't need to have a hobgoblin at defensive end, which I think for you, Kevin, opens up more possibilities. Whereas, when you're trying to draft like the Saints draft, you're like, he's 6'3", and he's only 245. That ain't gonna go for the Saints. And that was a hard thing. Now the worlds of possibilities have maybe opened at defensive end for the Saints. We'll see. Maybe they've changed their scheme, whatever.
Yep.
But what do you got next for us?
All right, hang on a second. I want to make sure I got this one right. So, I looked up. I checked the. I can't remember what area code it was. I can't remember if it was the 303, the 720, or the 983. But I decided to make a phone call to Denver, Colorado.
Uh-oh.
Called up, said, Sean, help me help you. I'm going to give you 68, 144, and 150. And in exchange, and this is when I started to really think about, well, it's a 4-round mock draft. I'm going to get picks 76, 113, and 121.
There we go.
So we're going to get a 4th-round gem here somewhere.
That's right.
So we now get to pick 76. This one PFF wasn't too happy with me about, and that's okay. That's okay. I decided I was I wanted to find an edge rusher.
There we go.
But there wasn't anything really there that I wasn't too happy with. So I decided we might be losing Marshawn Lattimore or trading him.
That's
or
right.
Whatever. I want depth.
That's right.
At cornerback. So I went with Mike Sainristil. Sure, I'm mispronouncing that. Mike Sainristil from Michigan at corner.
See, I like that because Michigan, they run a very complicated NFL scheme, supposedly, right?
He had 6 interceptions this past season.
That's right. And I will say this. People are saying, hey, they did the option bonus with Marshawn Lattimore. Maybe they'll trade him. Here's the thing, kids. If the Saints trade Lattimore before the draft, it's a $35 million dead cap hit this year, which means if they trade him before the draft, Mickey Loomis, in addition to getting finding $80 million of space to get cap compliant, he's got to find another $35 million if he wants to trade Lattimore. We know it's Loomis. We know it's Kai Harley. Kevin, I know they can do it, but if they trade Lattimore after June 1st, $13 million cap hit.
Great. Now, I will say that Sainristil, he's gotten the post national championship bump.
Oh yeah.
So he was getting drafted 153 at the start of the year.
Right, he's got that.
And then immediately started going up. He went up to 105.
That's right.
84.
Yeah.
79. And now he's sitting somewhere in the mid 70s right now.
Yeah. Well, listen.
So, look, this could be this is a guy that could very well be available later if and when things stabilize. But I don't know. We're drafting.
I like it
right now. We're at now.
I like it because, this whole task is save Dennis Allen's job, and maybe that doesn't a corner with the depth they have. But I really believe they're going to trade Lattimore. I don't think to me, Kevin, the way the Saints season is shaping up, I actually prefer that they trade Lattimore in the summer right before the season. Because if you get a team that's desperate or decides, hey, we're going to be really good in 2024, we'll give the Saints a first round pick because it's going to be picking in the 20s. Like Detroit, they're picking what, 28?
They were at 29.
29.
On my,
They're picking
mock
29.
draft.
I could see Detroit in the summer being like, hey, we drafted a bunch of corners, but they're not so great. And we lost the NFC Championship because our corners kind of suck. You know what? We're going to be picking the 20s anyway. Mickey Loomis, yeah, we'll give you the 2025 pick because we're winning double-digit games anyway. And the Saints get that 2025 pick. It'll freak us out. It'll make people sad because it'll be right before the season. But, Kevin, if the Saints season goes sideways and you hit the reset button, you get rid of Dennis Allen, suddenly going into 2025, you have the Saints pick. It's really good because they're terrible, right? So maybe you're picking top 7. And maybe Detroit, bad breaks happen. They get a little regression and they go 8-9, 9-8. So they're picking 16, 17 or top. So let's say they pick 15. Suddenly you're the Saints and you're trying to get a head coach. You can go to him and say, hey, we're picking 6 and 15. That's pretty awesome. That's pretty appealing, isn't it? And it makes the reset, if they do it in 2025, much more appealing. It gives us something to be excited about draft day. So I am for it, and I think that's what's going to happen. I think Lattimore's going to be traded in the summer. But back to your point, you got the corner to replace him.
Cornerback is actually a pretty loaded position in the draft this year. I just did the math. I just counted it up myself. There are projected, again, it's PFF ranking right now, 16 cornerbacks in the top 100.
And by the way, Paulson Adebo, he'll be a free agent in March of 2025. So if you trade Lattimore and you trade Adebo leaves in free agency, suddenly cornerback is a dire need.
Correct.
Another thing, you kind of get you're attempting to get ahead of it.
Right.
If you pick the right guy.
Correct. So we did that.
Yes.
We move on to pick 92.
Here we go.
I was side-eyeing defensive end, But again, I keep coming back to Dennis Allen's success is tied to Derek Carr's success. So Derek Carr needs to be kept upright, and holes need to be made for the running backs.
That's right.
Because the Saints' running game was absolute dog shit.
That's right.
In 2023. So it has to be improved.
That's right.
And how do you do that? You get a big son of a bitch at guard.
There we go.
I'm going to scroll up, and the guard is actually pretty dire in this year's draft.
Oh, wow.
So if you can get a guard, there's only 3 in the top 100, and then there's only like another 5 the rest of the way.
Oh, interesting. So you got to get one. If you're saying if you don't get one now, you're not going to get one.
Get early. Get in early if you want. If a guard is on your shopping list, get in.
Here we go.
I grabbed Christian Mahogany from Boston College, 6'3", 322 pounds.
I love this. His joke razz is off the charts. We can just do, he smells of rich mahogany over
Correct.
and over and over again from the Anchorman. His joke razz
this is not one of those tweeners. This is not one of those tweeners either.
Oh, he's a guard.
He is a guard. He is a right guard.
That's right.
Right guard.
I love it.
So Cesar Ruiz can
Shift around
and feel the heat.
Well,
Either
Cesar
Cesar
Ruiz
Ruiz can step up and get better, or he can be the number 2 behind this kid.
Or, Cesar Ruiz has played center. He's played the other guard. Like, you can move Cesar Ruiz around. And,
fine by me.
And here's
Fine
the thing, too. Listen, Trevor Penalty took a lot of, as the British like to say, he took a lot of stick. He took a lot of guff because he hasn't played. Traded up for him. Rightfully so. But I'll just say this. The Saints also traded up, Kevin, for Sal DeVary, and he didn't play a lick either.
No.
So,
A goddamn thing.
I mean, maybe he's a redshirt year. He gets better, but he didn't play at all. So taking a guard is
here are your
perfectly
guards.
reasonable.
Here are the Saints guards: Cesar Ruiz, James Hurst, Max Garcia, Mark Evans II, Tommy Kramer, Trey Turner, who was on IR, and Nick Saldiveri, who was also on IR. So come on now.
That's bad.
Come on.
It's a bad. It's
you need
sneaky,
people.
Sneaky, terrible group. I love it. And like I said, the mahogany jokes, they write themselves.
Right.
Joke Raz, perfect 10. What else you got?
So we get out of the top 100 now. We're at pick 103. And now comes the beaut. We're going edge defender.
Oh, finally.
We're finally going edge defender. Let me tell you, edge defender is actually, there's a lot of edge defenders in this draft that are rated pretty high. There really are. I'm not going to count them all right now because it'll take too damn long. That's how many there are. Pick 113. Or actually, he's ranked at 113. I'm grabbing at 103 because I didn't think he would be there at 113 for me on this mock draft. I snagged Darius Robinson from Mizzou.
See,
Mizou. Go Tigers.
Go Tigers.
Now,
Robinson.
again, this is another guy who has received a massive bump via the end of the year and the bowl game.
Well, I was just gonna say, as a person that I don't crunch the tape, but I am addicted to all Senior Bowl news. I want to know the coaching rumors. I want to know who's rising, who's falling. He is an absolute darling of the draft nerds this week. Him and the guy from UCLA, Latela. I can't pronounce his name. The guy from UCLA who has a trick neck.
Latu Latu.
He has a trick neck. He had to retire. He had to retire from football. He's back. He would be the most Saintsiest pick ever. Draft the defensive end with the trick neck. Me personally, I know his tape is awesome, whatever. After Davenport, after Peyton Turner, I have too much injury, defensive end, PTSD. I can't have the Saints drafting the dude with the trick neck who had to retire. But this guy, Kevin, I just don't think this guy's going to be here at that pick because I think
probably. I mean, he might not
darling.
be because
I think he's going to get in the top
see
80, maybe.
Again, I'm just taking what's.
That's right. You're taking
I'm looking at what's. I can only look at what's in the present moment. I look forward to seeing where some of these guys fall or move up after the combine. But right now, Darius Robinson, prior to bowl season, he was getting drafted as his highest was 186.
Wow, so he's a riser.
After the bowl game, it jumped all the way up to 102.
He killed it.
So he's sitting right at that 100. He's sitting right at 100.
That's right. So do you have another pick?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. We got more picks.
All right. How many?
We got a lot more picks.
Oh, God.
So we go down. So now comes the Kevin Held special, where really I stockpiled a bunch of first round picks, and I'm getting a bunch of fourth round picks.
That's right.
It also happens to coincide with the fact that you told me this mock was only going to be four rounds.
That's right.
So we go to pick 113. We're staying on defense. Defensive interior from Ohio State.
D.
All right. Michael Hall Jr. I may give him the nickname Anthony. I don't know.
Yeah.
But we're going Michael Hall Jr. He is actually, let me go, pretty far back. But defensive interior, there's actually a lot of those Like after you get past the top two in the first round, it's a cluster in 40s, the 50s, and the 60s and the 70s. Then there's another jump, and Michael Hall is in that third group at the tail end of it. But
Yeah.
he's 6'2", weighs 280. He can get some weight put on him because I'm looking at Saunders. Saunders is a heavy fella. Shepard, also a heavy fella. But I think if Hall can get up to about 300, he'll be fine.
Well, the thing is,
He played 12 games. He's played 12 games each of the last two seasons.
from Ohio State.
From Ohio State.
Saints Vocational College.
So, you know, I like
I like it. And here's the
I
thing
like
to
his
remember.
durability.
Here's the thing to remember too, Kevin. Malcolm Roach, Dave's UDFA son, he's a free agent. He was out. He got injured this year, but he's been the last 2 years has been outstanding against the run. The Saints need a body in there. I know they've found UDFA's Shy Tuttle and Roach, so maybe they don't go that way. But in the interior, Saunders is interesting, and Bresee is good, but they could use another body. They could use another body in there.
Well, Bresee is going to be the guy of the future. I mean, eventually, you know, Shepard and Saunders are going to go on their merry way. So Bresee will be the defensive interior of the future. Doesn't hurt to get another guy in there that could also be the future with him, or could at the very least say, all right, our backups can't be Jack Heflin,
That's right.
PJ Mustipher, and John Pennicini.
That's the bad drafts for the Saints. And listen, they haven't had some. They've done okay, but they had a stretch where it was bad. 2021, it was the bad drafts. It's starting to show up, Kevin, in the depth. You're starting.
Hang on, did I lose you? Did we lose? I think Ralph froze there.
Yep.
to see
Oh.
super deep rosters. It was draft picks. It was veterans. It was a
He's
better,
back.
deeper roster, and you got to infuse it with better talent.
So I'll say one extra thing about Michael Hall Jr. before we move on. So PFF grades all these guys by every game that they played during the past season.
Mm-hmm.
In 2023, guess which game Anthony Michael Hall Jr. played or had his best game. Guess which game was his best game of 2023?
Was it? I mean, they got pretty. I mean, Michigan? Was it Michigan?
It was Michigan.
Wow. See,
It was
that-
Michigan.
that to me is you might say, well, Ohio State, of course they're going to play well against Michigan. That's the biggest game of their lives. It's the biggest game of the year. That's true, and that's part of it. But also too, like Ohio State and Michigan are so superior to everyone in the Big Ten that like they're going to dominate. Their talent advantage is so severe compared to the other teams that you almost, it's unfair. But that was what I was going to, if you hadn't have said it, I'd have been like, how did he play against Michigan? Like, and I know it's kind of unfair to rate Ohio State and Michigan off of one game, but they're so superior to everybody else in the Big Ten. Like, that's all we care about. So that's good to know.
Right. But the fact that he had his best game against the national champion,
And that's right.
like that's one of those little things you can hang your hat on. Okay. So we go to pick 121. I'm staying on defense. I'm staying on the defensive line. We don't know how much longer Granderson's gonna stick around.
No, he's locked in.
Whatever.
But Cam is old.
But Cam,
That's right.
kind
Kind of washed.
could I stay or could I go now?
Kind of washed, yeah.
So, I want another edge defender. I'm not saying that both of these guys are going to hit, but I'm saying why take chances on just getting one
Right.
when you can get two that are fairly closely ranked
That's right.
in the thing and may go up. I'm going Justin Eboigbe from Alabama.
I like it.
Again, trended up trended up since the end of December. 6'5", 292, big guy,
Oh,
redshirt senior.
all right.
So he had that extra time in. He didn't play in as many games in 2022, but 2021 and 2023 played the full slate. I'm assuming 2022 was an injury of some kind. But that's probably why he's coming down this far, coming out of Alabama. But I like it. Because look, let's just say one of them hits.
That's right.
All that has to happen. That's the reason why in a lot of my mock drafts, I'll grab 2 tackles or maybe even 3, or I'll grab 2 edge guys, or I'll grab another linebacker, or that's why you grab a second guy at one of those positions of need, because you don't know.
You don't know. And here's the thing. People that have listened to the podcast for a long time, when me and you did this last year a bunch, I vehemently against the double. I was like, you can't double dip. You got positions to fill, man. You can't double dip.
Brother, that's why you trade down, so you get more rounds in the chamber and you get more shots at one of these damn guys.
That partially that, but just in the general sense, I've come around to your thinking on the double dipping, because here's the thing. If you double dip and people criticize you for it, but in the end, no one's going to care if you draft 2 of these pass rushers and one of them hits. They're not going to say, oh, that means you didn't pick, you wasted the other pick. No. They're not even going to care. They're just going to say, we got a defensive end. They're not going to care that your other 4th round pick or your other 3rd round pick totally whiffed. So I love the double dipping strategy. Of course, it has to go that way in the board and different things. But I wish teams did it. I wish teams did it more. I wish the Saints would do it more at positions of need.
So, speaking of double dipping,
here we go.
I wanted another tackle. Because look, I'm very confident in Graham Barton. But again, why take chances?
That's right.
So, I got a guy who can immediately have he's taken all of his snaps at left tackle.
Okay.
So, again, Andres Pete, step up, or you can hang out with Trevor Penalty, looking at the Microsoft tablet and figuring out, all right, what are we doing here? But I got a guy who's already got a built-in local commercial gig as soon as he lands in New Orleans.
Hit me with it.
Tackle from Oklahoma, Walter Rouse.
Oh, my God.
Rouse. So it's right there. 6'6", 322 pounds.
The commercial writes itself. I'm a big boy and I need big food, and I go to Rouse's.
Correct.
His joke Raz isn't a perfect 10 like Mahogany, but it's 8.5 on the joke Raz scale. We can make some great Rouse jokes.
Look, he is NFL size.
Yeah,
he is absolutely NFL size.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just like, all right, let's go.
Here's my one concern as we get closer to wrapping this up. I look at this draft, and I think it's brilliant because Robinson is a high riser according to people at Senior Bowl. Coleman is great. The tackle is great. I love it all. My one concern is you've addressed the offensive line to help the run game, but Jamal Williams We love him. Jameis loves him. Got him that touchdown at the end of the year. But he wasn't good. Kamara, he's not what he was. My darling, Kendra Miller, he looked great against Atlanta. He was injured the whole rest of the year. Running back, Kevin, I look at it and if we're trying to save DA's job,
Yeah.
I'm concerned.
Okay. Well, I got on the phone
Here we go.
to Phoenix. Lovely city. Nice state. I mean, the people they're driving are complete lunatics. Speed limit 70, and they'll get on your ass in the
Just
right
a
lane.
suggestion.
It's like I don't understand. It's like I'm going above the speed limit, and you're up my ass for a quarter of a mile before you decide to pass me. I don't know what to tell you, guy. I don't know what to tell you. Where do you all have to be? Beautiful state, though. Beautiful state. I traded picks 152. I traded picks 152 and 200 to get back into the fourth round to get pick 133, so I could get Walter Rouse. I don't know why the PFF thing listed it below that, the Walter Rouse pick, but whatever.
You got that in.
So then, called up Philadelphia Eagles.
Saints do a lot of business with Philadelphia.
I said, listen, I need back in the fourth round.
Of course.
I'm up against it. I got this crazy guy with a bad arm in Houston telling me that I can't draft anything beyond the fourth round. So they said, okay, what are you prepared to give us? I only had one round left in the chamber, and it was pick 192. That wasn't enough. So I gave him pick 192 and my 2025 fourth round pick. In exchange, I got pick 137, and I got both of the Eagles' seventh round picks in 2025. Again, 2 seventh rounders, whatever. Who knows?
2 Marcus Colstons.
Or a Brock Purdy. You never know.
That's right.
You never know. Shit, Tom Brady was a 6th rounder.
That's
it's
right.
like, there are once in a while the sun shines, the sun shines on a dog's ass every now and then.
Right.
So I get pick 137. And it's funny you mention Jamal Williams' best friend from before. So I was briefly looking at a running back.
Mm-hmm.
Will Shipley was still there from Clemson.
Ooh, I like him.
Braylon Allen out of Wisconsin was still there. And this guy I love just off numbers. 6'2", 245. Try tackling that guy. Like try fucking tackling that guy. He's played 3 years. Like they got the 3 years career stats. His touchdowns are 12, 11, and 12.
Wow.
This guy ain't going anywhere. If he's there, like, look, in a normal, if this was a full 7-round mock, I probably would have taken Braylon Allen, to be honest. But I didn't. I didn't take any of the halfbacks. I looked at the wide receivers that were still there. And I wasn't too happy because Taj Washington was still there, but he's 5'10". Malik Washington was there from Virginia. He's 5'8".
Mm-hmm.
You had Isaiah Williams there, 5'10". The other two guys that were in there that had some height, just, I don't know, the numbers didn't look good to me.
And wide receiver becomes, when you add in Coleman, like I said before, it becomes difficult though, Kevin, because you
Right.
got Olave, you got Coleman, you got A.T. Perry,
You got Shaheed.
you got Shaheed. If they add,
And you got Taysom Hill.
and you got Taysom Hill, and if they sign Hunter Renfrow, which everybody thinks they will in free agency, suddenly you don't really have a place for them, and it becomes a thing where you draft a guy And when they drafted, I'll make the example last year. You drafted a guy, A.T. Perry, and when he made one play in the preseason, I was like, he's making the team. They're like, oh no. I'm like, he made 2 plays against Kansas City. You can't sneak him through waivers. That's done.
No.
He's on the roster, baby.
Correct.
And the problem is, I just listed off the wide receivers. So if you pick a receiver in the 6th, 7th round or wherever, or here, it becomes what are you going to do? Where are you going to put him? You're going to carry 6. So it becomes.
I mean, I think they will. I think they will carry 6.
Yeah,
but
you'd have to play special teams, but you could.
But to be honest, it's like, okay, Michael Thomas is gone, and we got his replacement in Keon Coleman. So that means either Keith Kirkwood or Lynn Bowden Jr. are
Saints legend Lynn Bowden
are going away. So
there you go.
I'm thinking. Wait a minute, I didn't make the pick yet.
Go ahead.
So Derek Carr is going to need a backup. It can't be Taysom Hill. It can't be sexy Jake Haener.
It can't? Well,
Jameis is not going to be on the team in 2024.
No, he is not.
I think DA is getting rid of him.
That's right.
Or allowing him to go in a show of, trying to show dominance or whatever. I don't know. Or trying to exude some kind of authority or whatever. Jameis is gone.
Correct.
But where did Jameis go to college?
Oh, in Florida State.
He went to Florida State. In the 4th round, I found a quarterback.
Oh, here we go.
From Florida State. And yes, he did drop because he got injured. However, that's why you draft this guy in the 4th round.
That's right.
And you take a flyer on him and you stick him behind Derek Carr. Because the guy can sit on the bench and potentially learn for the year.
You can IR
and there
him.
you go.
You can even IR him, right?
Because
he got
also
injured,
true.
Because remember, he got injured late in Florida State's year, and he basically, the committee screwed over Florida State and was like, we know you went undefeated, but your quarterback's injured. He got injured in, I think, late November.
Yeah.
And they said, hey, you're not going to the playoffs because you're not the same team. So he may be a thing where he's not even going to be ready until October, November of this year anyway. So you just redshirt him.
He played all 3. He's played 2021, 22, and 23. His completion percentage, 62.7, 63.7, and 63.7 again. He's accurate. His passer rating all 3 years was over 100. He's never thrown more than 6 interceptions in either of those seasons. There's a lot to like.
Yeah.
There's a lot to like. If he comes back from that injury, and again, that's where you take the chance.
That's right.
In the 4th round. Let me count this up. I've made 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I've made 10 picks in this draft.
10 picks.
And half of them were in the 4th round.
That's right. So
to get depth.
But here's my question, and then is that the final pick?
That is the final pick.
So here's my question, and then we'll get out of here because I love this. I love this pick because it gives DA to save his job. He's got bodies, he's got volume, ton of stuff. I love it. But here's my question to you, Kevin. You are DA, and you are trying to save your job. What of these 10 players? I'll give you 3 of them who can be instant impact, really good, give you tremendous 2017 Saints draft value, instant starter, contributor, but you only get to pick 3. You can't do the whole draft. You get
easy.
3 guys.
Easy. Keon Coleman, Graham Barton, and Darius Robinson.
Ooh, that's interesting. Yeah.
And it's like, look, I know I skipped the tight end, but whatever. I know I skipped the corner, whatever. But you give me you give me the guys that'll help the passing game and a guy that'll help pressure the quarterback on defense, and I'm good to go.
Right. That's right. The Saints, their line, like they've the thing that's most frustrating, I think, for me is with the Saints drafting, besides the trade ups, which frustrate you, the thing that frustrates me the most is I like their overall player value philosophy in that they clearly value the offensive and defensive lines. And their theory is, and Mickey Loomis has said this, look, we believe you draft large men who can move other large men where they want to move them to, you'll be successful. I agree with that philosophy. They just stink at executing it, and they got to get back on the right track. That's why I love this draft, because I think it would give DA a bunch of bodies and a bunch of potential to fix both of those issues. And I'm glad that you did it this way. If I would have been running this draft, I would have probably burned future assets and just got like 3 guys in the top 40. You went the other way and got 10 in the top 145. So I like
top
this.
140, top 10 guys in the top 140. 5 of them were in the top 100.
Yeah.
And then the next 5 were in the next 40 picks.
Yeah. I feel like of all these guys, I think they'll probably end up right. But the Robinson pick, I really believe he's shooting up like a star. I think by the time this thing is done, he may be a top 50 pick.
And listen, if he has a really good combine and he keeps shooting up, then maybe the pressure's on me as the mock guy to suddenly say, to hell with it, we're going to take him.
That's right.
We'll take him in the top 100. We'll take him in the top 80. We'll take him in the top 70, something like that. Mm-hmm. Again, wide receiver is probably not, even though we're losing Michael Thomas. And again, I'm just assuming he's gone.
Yeah,
I'm probably not taking a wide receiver with the first overall pick. I think my thing is I'm still looking at tight end, or I'm still looking at tackle or defensive end, depending on where we're picking and depending on who is set there.
It's interesting. So, guys, thanks for joining us. I love these mock drafts. I love these assignments that I give Kevin. This one was my favorite one, Kevin, because you were clearly prepared with a ton of players, and I was too. I did a lot of research. I hope that this draft, we give you value, what trading up and trading down will be. But I hope also we exposed you to as many players as we could as possible. So when you're running your mock draft and you're talking to people, you can say, "Oh yeah, that corner from Michigan, I know him. He's a guy that's a possibility for the Saints." So I hope we educated you and made you have a little fun along the way. I appreciate, Kevin, that you right in my wheelhouse. You picked 2 guys with joke RAS scores above 8.5. I appreciate you for that.
Well, thank you.
So remember, like us, subscribe to our channel, share this. If you're listening to the audio only version, give us a review, subscribe to us wherever you get your podcast, Saints Happy Hour, and go to Saints Happy Hour, become a patron, get all our content every single day, commercial free. Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Thomas running the show back in Poland. I'm Ralph Malbrough. Until next time, bar is closed.